DJ Z Trip. This is the influence of hip hop. And right now, I'd like to introduce you all to somebody who I think is very special. He's a creative giant. He's somebody that has, I think, moved the needle. I know moved the needle in hip hop, changed the whole way the game is gone, and rewritten a lot of the rules.
And Marshall's here too.
My man Eminem, my man Marshall Mathers in the place to be. So yo, welcome.
Thank you.
And so the way I want to start this is, the first thing I want to ask you is, how does a little kid in Detroit get into this rap thing? Like what happened? What made you, I know with me, it was about the first time I heard kids be empowered and made me want to just, with everything I was going through, I wanted to feel powerful, and it helped me be powerful. What made you get into hip hop? How did you get into this thing?
You, Run DMC, Beastie Boys, Ice-T. That was Fat Boys. I don't know. It's just something about the music spoke to me. It was so new and different and refreshing, and you also didn't really have to be able to sing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know, something about the music, man. It just felt empowering, and it just felt like, I don't know, it just spoke to me as a kid. I wanted to be like you. You know what I'm saying? I hope that doesn't sound weird. But
I get it.
I absolutely wanted to be like you. I wanted to be like Run DMC. I don't know, something about it was the energy, and you could just say what you want to say, and and you could talk about your life, and you could talk about shit that bothers you and all that. I don't know, something, I just gravitated towards it, and I never strayed from the first day I heard a rap song. So,
when you first started writing, what were you thinking about? What was the, what was the, not the subject, but like when you first picked up the pen, what was it?
Man, I was probably 11 or 12 years old. I think I was 11 or 12. And I wrote a rhyme that was, the first rhyme I wrote, I was at my great aunt Edna's house, and it sounded exactly like Bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what the rhyme. This one rhyme sticks in my head. Something. Before you can blink, I'll have 100 million rhymes. Unlike a ship, you will sink.
Yeah.
That was my first.
I love that. And when we think about you as a writer, when I think about you as a writer, I think, first of all, before we get into, forget the style for a minute. We'll get into that a little later, your stylistic cadences and all that. But the transparency, your willingness to talk about vulnerabilities, your willingness to talk about things that most people are afraid to talk about, that takes a lot of courage. I understand writing. It takes courage to say certain things. Where does that come from? How did you develop that?
Part of it was just going through my own experiences in life, and the other part was watching everyone else. My homework was hip hop. I didn't go to school. I would rather just rap. So that's pretty much all I did. So watching, you, Run DMC, the Beastie Boys, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, Master Ace, just watching, and the way that when you guys first came out, it was the wordplay and I don't know, just listening to, it was interesting to watch you and see your range as a writer, and see that you can make a song about, you could make a love song, you could make a song for the dudes, you know what I'm saying? And your range as a writer was so incredible. And then when you didn't drop an album for a couple of years, then rap started advancing a little more. Then you came out, advanced it again. You know what I'm saying? It was so crazy to just watch it, and I don't know, it was crazy because you to me were you could just do whatever anyone else was doing. You know what I'm saying? You could do that, and then you could do the shit better. And watching that, like, and especially when you came back when Mama Said Knock You Out. Mm-hmm. Man, and fucking damage. Like, I'm like, yo, you wrote that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Man,
Definitely.
that seemed like a spur of the moment thing. I always wondered that because I'm like, God damn, he just in the middle of the song screaming damage, and the energy of it was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like I want to fuck my room up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I absolutely wrote that shit. It was like, it's that like that stream of consciousness, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't know if you were like freestyling it. I didn't know, like, I was just like,
yeah, I wrote it, but I wrote it like, right in the zone, you know what I mean? Like right there, like in the moment of the zone.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't intellectual, there was no brain power. It was all just ink.
And feel.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, you want to write it from the place of feeling. So, like, let's take a song, like Stan, right? Which is, when you're taking a hard line on the fan. And Stan became popular culture. Like, it ended up being Stan, like, ended up being something that bled into popular culture. What was the thought process where did you feel like, yo, I'm insulting this dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was always like, that was like the ballsiest shit in the world. It was like, what was the thought process on that?
There actually, I'm sure you probably experienced this too coming up. Like, when I first got in the game, I didn't understand a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand, like, when you would see, like, if you were walking outside the venue after a show, mm-hmm. and then you saw some fans, and you took some pictures and shit, there's always going to be somebody that you don't have a chance to get to. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the things that I started seeing. It was my first experience really with it. It was mm-hmm. like, what the fuck is this? Like, mm-hmm. and people wanting me to sign shit. I don't get it. Like, it's a signature. Like, I didn't understand it. And I think it was a combination of what I was going through at that time mm-hmm. and experiencing fame for the first time and all that stuff. Like, I think that when I got that beat from Mark the 45 King, mm-hmm. With the Dido hook on it, I was mm-hmm. just like, but your picture on my wall. Like, I just pictured, like, that's what I did as a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, how I felt when you first came out, Run DMC first came out, like, how I felt, like, just my entire room, walls were covered up to the ceiling with pictures, Word Up, mm-hmm. every rap magazine there was, and I put myself in the shoes of, like, worship you and worshiping Run DMC and, like thought, like, how can somebody worship me, though? You know what I'm saying? It was
right.
Me, like,
yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah,
that's powerful. You envisioned it.
Yeah. So I basically just put myself in the fan shoes, mm-hmm. and it's like it just made me think, like, your picture on my wall. Okay, so if a kid is a fan of rap, he's probably got pictures of mm-hmm. rappers on his wall. Mm-hmm. So that kind of just brought me into instantly when I heard it, and that's kind of where I started taking it, and then just I think. It's almost like a miscommunication mm-hmm. between
the fan and the artist. Yeah.
And it's like they're not seeing it from your side, you're not seeing it from their side, mm-hmm. and then it just ends up all bad. Because
for the fan, this is probably the first and last time they'll see you. Even your best fans will see you 10 or 15 times in life. Right. I mean, that's like your number one fans. Yeah. Maybe they'll see you 30 times, but it's going to be so many times they see you. Right. So for them, it's that one-time experience, and for the artist, it's like another person asking for a picture. So I always try to remember that and treat people like every person like that encounter matters. Yeah. So now let's go up. Once again, this is Rock the Bells Radio. LL Cool J, my man DJ Z Trip, the influence of hip hop. We're here with my man Marshall Mathers. Eminem is in the building, and so now let's talk about this one. That okay. So you're a rapper. You've been writing. You've been listening to Run DMC. Now there's that moment when you start striving. Like for me, I was 14 when I made the decision that I want to make a record. Yeah. And when I was 16, we ended up starting Def Jam. Yeah. Or at least Def Jam the label, because Tila Rock was the production company. My thing is, what happens from when you're like a little boy running around the room rapping along to a kid writing his rhymes like you talked about, Sink the Battleship, to, okay, now we're going from that point to becoming a semi-pro on the scene, you know what I mean? Like a professional amateur on the scene. I'm talking about before the label, before all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about that stretch.
Well, I did a lot of rapping in the basement, and I think it was like I had to get to a certain level before I would let anyone even hear my raps.
Level
You know
of
what I'm saying?
excellence and skills.
Like, and when I started realizing that some of the stuff that I was writing was maybe not as good, but almost as good as certain rappers, you know what I'm saying? Like, it gave me the hope that maybe I could do it. And when compound syllable came into play, you know, and I started hearing you do it and G-Rap do it and Kane do it, I was like, holy shit, they're not just rhyming the last word. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're rhyming every syllable of that word. Like, and then when I started doing that, I was everywhere, man. I went to open mics. I you know, Proof took me to a lot of places, introduced me to a lot of things that he was doing, because Proof didn't have a job back then. He just rapped, and he just went. You know, he went everywhere. He was.
And how? Just let me. How did you meet Proof? Just how did you meet him?
On the steps of Osborne High School. I was handing him a flyer to a talent show.
Oh wow!
And he was like, "You rap?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I rap." He's like, "Why don't you say something?" I'm like, "Okay." So I do a rhyme, and then I've told this story before, but he rhymed birthday in first place. Birthday, first place, and I rhymed birthday, first place in the same rap. I said my rap, then he did his, and he rhymed the same. I was like, yo, we understood compound syllable rhyming. So we're like, so ever since then, like it was a talent show that I was doing at another high school. I can't remember the name of the high school, and he showed up there. And I was like, holy shit, he showed up. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then we just hit it off from that day, man, and just ran everywhere together pretty much. But Proof, like, towards our early 20s, Proof was in every spot there was, you know, and I had a job, so I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do. So Proof kind of took off. He started, like, man, his buzz around the city was incredible. And one day he calls me, and I'm living upstairs in the attic of Kim's mom's house, right? Me and Kim are staying up there. It's not really it's an attic, but we turn it into a bedroom. And things aren't looking so good. And I had stopped writing for a while. And I will never forget, he called me. He was like, I hadn't talked to him in like 4 months. And he was like, yo, I've been doing this and this and this. You need to come up to the hip-hop shop. And I'm like, okay.
The hip-hop shop.
Yeah.
I love that.
Which was opened up by Maurice Malone, right?
Okay.
Paul? Yep. And, you know, Proof was doing a lot of things with Maurice Malone at that time. So he was like, yo, you need to come up here. Just rap. If you don't like it.
And for our listeners who don't know who Maurice Malone is, could you just real quickly give him a little brief?
Maurice Malone was a guy from Detroit who... Clothing designer.
Okay.
From Detroit.
Yeah.
And he was doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, he had a line called...
He did the jackets and all that, right?
Yeah,
with
Maurice
the jackets.
Malone denim, Mo jeans.
Yeah, I remember that. Mo jeans, yeah, I remember that. Okay, so he came, so keep going.
He told me, come up to the shop. Now, mind you, I hadn't wrote a rap in a while. He was like, yo, come up to the shop on Saturday. I think it was either the next day or like whatever it was. I had a day to write the rhyme and try to memorize it. So basically what he did when I got there, he was like, he waited till the place cleared out because they had open mic every Saturday. I had never been to it. And he was like, yo, I'll just, you know, after everybody clears out, come up here at like 6 o'clock or whatever it was. And I'm like, all right, cool. So he had like 15 people. There were like 15, 20 people there instead of like 100, you know, 150. And I rapped, I got a reaction, and I was like, shit, I want to do this. You know,
for real.
I'm going to write a rap every week and come up here. And that's kind of what started happening. And then I threw my hat in the battle ring and started doing that and started winning. And won like the 2 battles there. And then it just...
I think there's the thing that we need to talk about, and there's an elephant in the room. I want you to tell me, everybody saw the movie. We all know that. We loved the movie. It was a dope-ass movie, 8 Mile, of course. But my question is, I want you to really, what's it like, because this is something I don't know, what's it like to be a white rapper in a predominantly black, African-American kind of, forget the record industry and all that and the radio shit. Fuck that. I'm talking about in that world, in Detroit, down there. Forget the movie. What is it? What did you feel like? What was that like? You know what I mean?
It was, I don't know. It was definitely, I had to, especially coming up at that time, when there weren't many white rappers at all. You had Third Base.
And Beastie Boys, was a different thing, kind of.
And, Tony D. I like Tony D a lot. But it just wasn't a lot of white rappers at the time. So definitely was, there was a, I don't know if I say stigma or whatever it was, but most people were not ready for the way that I rapped, I guess.
Right.
So I remember Proof used to take me up in the lunchroom at Osborne, and he would bet money and say, I got $10 on the white boy.
Like white man can't jump.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing.
I feel you.
So, we did that, and I would win, and he'd get the money, and then, I'd get the...
He was hustling with the
I'd
Paul
get the
Rosenberg
credit.
in the background, everybody.
I'd get the fame at the high school, but but it was, it was definitely, it was a challenge. It wasn't, it wasn't easy. It was definitely like the elephant in the room, but me and my friends, me, Proof, Denon, we never really, we saw color because we were aware of it. But it just didn't matter.
It wasn't part of it.
It just wasn't
part of the.
It just didn't matter.
I know
to us.
I know what you mean.
And
well, look, just to chime in there, I can relate to that because Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys played my tape for Rick Rubin and got me my break. So, and I had to go see Rick and at his dorm at NYU, and it's so funny when Rick walked downstairs. I said, "Oh shit, you're Rick?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I thought you were black." He said, "Cool, let's go upstairs."
That's actually that is so Rick.
Yeah,
it's so Rick, man.
Cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's LL Cool J, Rock the Bells Radio, DJ Z Trip, Channel 43. You're listening to my man, my guest, Marshall Mathers, Eminem in the building. So you're making all of these, you're making these inroads. What happens then? What is the turning point when the fire? You're starting to win battles. The battles are getting bigger. We saw the film. Okay, what happened then? What was the launching pad that really said it's time?
Well, we had, after I started winning battles in Detroit, I felt like I should take it out of the city and try to do make a name elsewhere. So I started getting into competitions like Scribble Jam. Me and Mr. Porter went to 97 Freaknik just to hand out tapes because Infinite didn't do well at all. So my first album, Infinite, we had leftover cassettes, so we're like, fuck it, let's go to Freaknik and just hand them out. So we did that. Then we went to How Can I Be Down, and then at some point, I can't exactly remember how this happened. I think I went to the Athenaeum Hotel because Bizarre from D12 told me about this chick named Wendy Day. And he was like, yo, you need to give your tape to Wendy. Tape. Fucking tape.
Yeah, tape.
Yeah.
So you didn't email. You weren't shooting out an email. It was a tape.
Yeah. So me and Bizarre and Mr. Porter would wait outside of the hotel where Fat Joe was at. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Yeah, and just, anywhere we thought rappers were, we brought a boombox with us.
You sound like me.
Yeah. Right. Box.
You sound like me.
Yeah. So we're sitting in the front of the hotel. I actually got a funny Fat Joe story. So we're sitting in front of the hotel, right? And me and Biz got the boombox, and we're playing our demos, right? hoping that some rapper's gonna walk by and go, yo, what is that? I'm signing you. So
I love it.
So Fat Joe pulls up in a limo, and this is when the whole East Coast, West Coast thing had really started popping off, right? Shit was getting hot. So we're sitting on the wall where right before the entrance of the hotel. See Fat Joe get out the limo. Yo, shit, Fat Joe. Somebody yells, West Coast. Fat Joe's like, now mind you, this dude is as big as Fat Joe. And I'll bet you if he hears the story, he'll know what I'm talking about. Somebody says West Coast as he gets out the limo. He's like, East Coast, what? They get up in each other's faces. Like Fat Joe walked right up to the dude. They got in each other's faces. We thought, oh shit. And Fat Joe was like, yeah, do something. And nothing happened. Dude didn't do anything. And he's like, yeah, that's what I thought. He's walking away. Fuck you, motherfucker. So me and Bizarre are like, this might not be a good time. Let's go over to, let's see where KRS-One's staying at.
Yo, you're killing me. Yeah, some funny
So, yeah.
Yeah, this is probably not the right time.
Yeah.
Joe doesn't seem to be,
He's not going to be in the mood to hear our demo right now.
Shout out to my man Fat Joe. We love you, baby. All right, so you riding around, you're going from place to place. You're going to Jack the Rapper. You're going to How Can You I Be Down. You're giving Wendy Day your tape. You're moving all over the place.
That was the part.
That was
there.
yeah. Okay,
Wendy Day, giving Wendy Day the tape. 2 weeks later, she called me. And I was like, holy shit. And she was like, you have restored my faith in white rappers. And I'm like, thank you. Cool.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know how to take that one. Thanks a lot. Really?
Right. I'm not sure how to take that, but I'm sure there's a compliment in there somewhere.
Yeah. At least you meant it to be. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the fact she called me was incredible. Like, because every time I would be at the breaking point of, like, giving this shit up, because it just seemed to be going nowhere, and I would spend so much time on it. Every spare second I had, I was writing all the time. And I felt like this might not happen. Then I'd get a little spark that would keep me going just a little bit more. So she wanted to put me on her 5-man battle team for the Rap Olympics. So did she fly me out? I can't remember.
Yeah, she brought you out to New York first to meet the team.
That's Paul Rosenberg, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So I met her 5-man battle team that she was building to try to go to the Rap Olympics because it was like teams or something. So I rapped for them. I rapped for those guys and they wanted me on the team. So then we ended up flying to California for the Rap Olympics. Scribble Jam, I went to the Scribble Jam and I battled Juice like 100 times. And me and him kept tying. So then the very last battle, I end up losing. So then I'm like, fuck. And then that's when Wendy Day called after that, I think. And flew me out to, when after the New York thing, and I was accepted on the team, flew me out to California. And there was a battle before our 5-man battle team was supposed to battle. And I had just got evicted from the house I was staying at, literally the day before I'm supposed to go to Rap Olympics.
You got thrown out.
Yeah.
Evicted, it's out. You got to leave.
Yeah. I pull up to the house, and all our shit is on the front lawn, and people are going through it. They're like, they stole my boy Butter's turntables and shit. Like, it was fucked.
I personally want to get Butter some turntables. I feel fucking crazy.
Yeah. So people were going through our shit. I didn't have much to grab, but I put it all in my car and shit. And somehow I got a cell phone, and I still can't remember this to this day because I had to break into the house I was evicted from through the back door. And the motherfucker had no heat in the house. The guy this is a long story, but basically the guy we were paying rent to was not paying the rent. So we were like, something happened, I don't know, whatever. But he didn't own the house, so he must not have been paying the rent or something. So anyways, I break into the house, sleep on the floor, and Paul was my wake-up call. And
so you guys go back that far?
Yeah, I met him at the hip-hop shop back when he first started freestyling back there. Proof introduced me to him.
That's big. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So carry on. So Paul called you.
Paul called me, got up for the flight, and then flew out to LA. And the reason I say like this meant everything to me because I didn't know that the battle that was taking place before the Rap Olympics was whoever wins that gets $500 and a Rolex. I don't know what the Rolex was about.
Yeah, and if the prize was only $500, then how the fuck did they get the Rolex?
Right.
Like that's the fuck I'm trying to figure out. Straight fugazi.
So I end up going through everybody, right? Like I jump in that battle because I need that money. Because I don't have a home to go back to. So I get all the way to the end, and there's a guy that shows up there like 2/3 through the battle, and they let him in. And he only had to beat one person and then get to me. I had to go through, I don't know.
He had a bye to the semifinals.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because that means you're running through a lot of shit in your head too.
Yeah.
You're depleting your.
I'm trying to mix punchlines like written shit with freestyle shit.
Yeah.
You know, and because I watched Proof do that. Like he was masterful at it. So that's kind of where I learned to do that. And we get all the way to the end, and then when they hand me the mic and I'm supposed to battle this guy, after I went through everybody, this guy, I get the mic, and this guy walks behind the video screen. They had a screen there because they were showing something. I don't remember what it was. But remember, he walked behind the video screen, and I had nobody to battle. I couldn't talk about his shoes. I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had no one to battle. In hindsight, I should have said something like, "You're scared. That's why you're hiding behind that screen." Like, but in the moment, I didn't know what to do. So I choked. And then he comes from around the screen and just gets in my face. I don't remember one line he said, but he was screaming in my face. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, and everybody's like, oh, he's killing him. But I had already choked. So it really didn't matter what the guy did.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
And I lost. So I was like, fuck. At that point, it was looking really bleak. And this kid comes up to me. It's like 18-year-old kid, right? He comes up to me. And he's like, yo, man, can I get one of those CDs? And I'm like, I just kind of threw it at him like, whatever. At the time, I didn't know that was this kid, Dean Geislinger, that worked at Interscope, right? So he ends up giving the CD to Jimmy. And I don't know, I hear the story that Dre had come over or something and the CD was like in a box or something.
Yeah.
I don't know that part because I don't think me and Dre.
He brought demos home to listen to on the weekend.
Yeah.
And Dre came over to the gym and he saw the box and he saw your demo. He was like, yo, who's that? And Jimmy's like, I don't know, some guy they say is great. You should listen to it. He's a rapper.
Yeah. So me and the Bass Brothers, the production team I was working with, we had to order the Slim Shady EP that we pressed up, started actually moving some decent amount of units. You know, it was like 1,000 and 2,000. And we had a guy in Vegas. They had a guy that wanted to buy 5,000 of them. So we were like, oh shit. So we go to Vegas.
Yeah.
We start running around putting the shit on consignment in different stores and stuff. I come back to the hotel just from doing that. And Marky Bass was like, yeah, we got a call from some doctor. Chiropractor. He wants to meet with you.
The doctor wants to see you?
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, right. So I'm like, don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me. Do not fuck with me. Because I remember I was in the car with these two chicks right before I went out to Vegas to sell the tapes. And I was like, they were playing phone tap. These two chicks in the car were playing phone tap. And I was like, yo, if I could just get with Dre, oh my God. And then literally a week later, we got a meeting with Dre when we go out there.
Wow.
And then he walks in and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Hey, what's up? My name is Dre.
That was it. And then the next thing I know, I'm in Foot Locker with Curtis Tucker. And she's getting outfits for the Just Don't Give a Fuck video. And I see you. And I'm like, yo, he's in here by himself. Like, I was bugging the fuck out. Like, I don't. When you quoted a lyric back to me and you said, "Yo, you said how can I be white? I don't even exist." And you quoting that lyric back to me was like, I think I shit myself. I'm pretty sure I actually literally shit myself.
But you know what, man? You said a lot of really cool shit. Like, you know, like I loved when you said "come back harder than a cannabis response." Like, it's some shit you said. Like, I fucking like, you know, there's certain people that, you know, the shit just moves you. Like on that fucking Renegade record, you know, with you and Jay, you know, just the way you would, the fluidity. Forget, you know, forget comparisons or who was dope and all that. Fuck all that. Just your fluidity on that track, the melody, your sense of key. When I say key, I mean like the key, the notes, like being on key with the track. And also the interesting way that you find little bits of in the track and rap to shit that's in the track that has nothing to do with necessarily the drum or snare other than being rhythmically on beat, but you find other little shit. Like all that shit matters.
Yeah.
And I think there's very, very, very safe to say that you demolished all stereotypes that existed for white rappers. I think that is very safe to say on Rock the Bells radio, because I think before you, Beastie Boys, who I love, who, you know, are very talented and great music makers, don't get me wrong. Different, lyrically, they're not, you know, like pure MCs, you know, may, you know, add rest in peace and the rest, but they are great music makers and they make really good records. And, you know, Search and them had some moments, you know, like that Search record, Here We Go, and Gas Face, Third Base. They had some moments. But I think as far as an MC, I think for the general public, you know, and for rap audiences and for classic hip hop fans, you are really hip hop's first white MC. That was really looked at as an MC, like fuck all of the fucking, you know, we could talk all that bullshit we want, but your shit was real regardless. You know what I mean? So you meet with the doctor. Now we're in this place. Now let's talk about this before we jump to the superstar and the fame and all that. That's we both know a little bit about that stuff. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the times you felt like quitting. And the reason I want to talk about that is because there's a mailman out there. There's a FedEx guy out there. There's a guy working at the post office. There's a guy that drives buses. There's a truck driver somewhere driving cross country. He's exhausted. He's popping no-dos and 5-hour energy drinks just to stay alive and stay awake so he can feed his kids. There's people out there in the world that got real jobs that are even, you know, different from our lives. Like, you know, we live different lives, but we live lives that are really different from probably most Americans on certain levels. Yeah. So tell me about, you know, and how deep you go is up to you. But tell me about the times you felt like quitting and what you did to continue on. Like you talked about that little spark of light. Let's talk about the times you felt like quitting.
Well, that was often. But I know that. Yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot of quitting, feel like quitting moments. The one that sticks out to me the most is when I did something really stupid, because I was signed with the Bass Brothers when I was like 15 years old, right? And they had connections with Elektra Records, because I forgot.
Tell everybody who the Bass Brothers are. The
Bass Brothers, FBT Productions, were actually the first guys to sign me, because they had some kind of connection with Elektra Records at the time, right? And so me and the guys from my group Basement Productions, we made like a demo, and they gave it to. We recorded in their studio. They had signed me to a contract, and we recorded at their studio, and the Elektra ended up turning it down and saying that I was too young, you know, like you hit us up when he gets older or something.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So it basically fell through, and I still kept going. And then when I started getting into the battle scene and stuff, the Bass Brothers approached me again. They had heard about what I was doing. They wanted to meet with me and shit, and they heard what I was doing around the city and stuff.
They believed in you.
Yeah. Yep. So now they got a connection, they said, with Loud Records. So I forgot the dude. I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, I was involved at that point too.
Okay, yeah.
So that we were talking to one of the A&R guys.
So you weren't talking to Steve. You were talking to somebody.
No, somebody else. Should we put him
Bigger
on?
B?
I want to put him on blast.
I don't think it matters.
That doesn't matter. It was just one of the A&R guys.
Okay, so let's talk about. He was a non-believer.
No. He was all in.
He was all in.
Yeah.
Well, then if he was all in, then let's talk about who was it? If he was all in, then he was on the right side of history, I think.
Yeah. It was Shane Mooney.
Okay, Shane Mooney.
So
wow.
So I'm recording these records, and literally the day I'm recording, there's a song on my first album called Rock Bottom, and I'm recording that song, and Marky, one of the guys from Bass Brothers, they're brothers. They're twin brothers or whatever, or not twins.
No,
but they look like twins.
they're just brothers.
Okay, so
They're brothers with a strong resemblance.
yeah. So these two guys. So Marky comes in and he's like, "Yo, I can't remember how he said it, but he was like, Shane works in the mailroom at Loud."
Yeah, that wasn't true though.
It wasn't?
No, he was A&R.
Oh, okay. Because that's what they had told me.
I think they were upset because it turned out they weren't going to put a deal on the table, so they were just making it all bad. Yeah.
Okay. So that didn't go through, and what? That led to you feeling what?
It's right around the time that I started messing with any kind of drugs, and I probably took 25 codeine pills. And was like, fuck it.
Oh, you tried to finish yourself?
Yeah, and I don't know if I don't know what. I was just so depressed. I was like, man, fuck it. And I ended up throwing up all over I missed the toilet at Marky's house and puked all over the fucking floor and was like, just laying there for like 30 minutes. Like, they came in there, they're like, yo, I'm like, I can't get up. Just let me lay here for a second. It just made me start thinking about my life. Like, what the fuck am I doing? And because at that moment, that was the last any kind of ray of hope we had, that I had. And when they told me he worked in the mailroom and that he didn't have any juice there, I was like, I don't know, that was like the rock bottom point. And it was just so crazy that I felt that way while I was recording the song, because the song is basically about that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I was trying to off myself. I think I was just trying to get really super high.
And numb the pain.
Yeah. But I took a lot of pills. I don't remember exactly how many, but I took way too many and puked.
But you see, the thing about it, I think that's important for people that are listening. Once again, it's LL Cool J, Rock the Bells Radio. Me and DJ Z-Trip, influencer hip-hop on Rock the Bells. We're talking to Eminem. I think the thing that's important to remember is that everybody has dark periods. I had dark periods. I had every label, Sugar Hill and Joy, all the Tommy Boy. They all turned me down. They all sent letters to the house.
Wow.
My mother would find me upstairs just like in a funk, like just, devastated. And she'd look around the room and find like rejection letters and shit.
Yeah.
Like, that she found, and she would be like, oh, Todd, don't worry about it. You're as good, you're better or as good as a lot of the guys on the radio. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Mom, well, I don't have any equipment, this and that, I don't have this. And she took her tax return. It just so happened the timing. She got her tax return. She brought me 2 turntables and a mixer. And that's how I was, and a little other stuff, a drum machine.
I know the story
machine.
too.
Yeah. And it just changed my world. But so you're on the floor. Give me 30 minutes. The world is falling to pieces. How did you keep going? How'd you keep going? How did you get up off the floor metaphorically and keep going on the journey?
Well, I remember feeling like I want to quit, but lines just hit you. You know what I'm saying? So I just would. I'm like, I don't think this is gonna pan out, but I'm still thinking of lines. And I'm writing them down, and if I ever get a chance to use them, I think that right around that time was when just other things started falling into place. Like I was doing, at some point, it was definitely after this, but at some point I started doing shows around Detroit and actually getting paid for them. $50. But shit, $50 is $50.
Hell yeah.
So
Shit.
so so that was one of the things that kind of kept me going a little bit. But yeah, again, so you know the feeling when you get rejected. It's
the
a
worst.
devastation you can't even explain.
It's gutting.
Because you're just like, where's my life going?
Right. And and it makes you feel absolutely worthless.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel like you're delusional in a bad way.
Yeah, you're not good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, once again, it's LL Cool J, Rock the Bells Radio, my man DJ Z Trip, the influence of hip hop. We're in the building. My man Eminem is in the building. In the background, aiding and abetting, we have Alchemist and Paul Rosenberg in the building. He's on his phone heavy, doing a lot of typing.
Trying to double duty here to get work done. Only so many hours in the day.
No doubt, no doubt
he's
about
a Def
it.
Jam now.
Yeah. That's you know what? We got to talk about that in a minute too, because that's some dope shit.
Yeah, that could be a whole nother show.
You know what? Maybe it needs to be.
Okay.
Yes, it needs to be.
Okay.
It needs to be. We need to do a Def Jam oriented show with you and talk about the history of the label. I'll tell you some things. I know you tell me some things about the new shit.
Okay.
We get into that. Yeah, we're gonna do that. That's good.
Paul is blowing up, by the way, right now because he's doing photo shoots and shit now too. Like he's now he's got interviews. This is what I'm talking about.
Just
But
trying
I
to be
gotta
like
tell
you
you,
guys.
I gotta tell
like
you,
this.
Paul, pick up your fucking phone. Had to be the funniest shit in the history of America on Twitter. Paul, pick up your fucking phone.
That's so funny that you saw that. Look, man, I'm new in this Twitter game. Okay,
20 million people saw that.
but I'm gonna tell you this much. I think I'm doing a hell of a job right now.
You doing a fucking hell of a job. Paul, pick up your fucking phone on Twitter.
That's keeping it 100.
Yo, that
though.
was
That's
yo,
100 right
yo,
there.
I was fucking laughing. I love that shit because I could feel that you had. I felt like you had tried him like 10 times, and he's busy, obviously. So it was some shit.
He was doing a photo shoot.
That's fine.
He was doing an interview with LL Cool J.
He's getting good at the Instagram though, but every time he picks up his phone to take a picture, I have to show him how to actually which button to push to take the picture.
And I take some dope ass pictures.
Yeah, did you? I thought I saw something. You had a picture with Smokey Robinson or something like that.
Yep.
That's fucking.
That one didn't turn out that good. The selfie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which one did?
which one did?
Yeah.
I think the one me and Mr. Porter and Al getting ready for Coachella.
Oh, okay.
That was a good one.
Right.
Good shit. Cinematic. Yeah. So, okay. So, we're talking about it. So, what was your, like, we were asking, what was your biggest discovery? Like, when the explosion happened, the records are coming, the charts are happening, the interview requests are coming in. You're walking down the block, I'm sorry to bother you. I don't mean to bother you.
Right.
When all of that started happening, what was your biggest discovery? Like, what was the discovery? What did you find out?
What did I find out? That the world's fucking crazier than I thought it was. I didn't understand the whole fame thing. And I really didn't get it. Like the first house I bought, I remember the Marshall Mathers LP. Like after the first album came out, right? I still lived on Chalmers at Kim's mom's house. Like I was staying there, and I would come from touring and go there and sleep. And because me and Kim were still living there at the time with Haley, and it was crazy because I don't know, first of all, I didn't want to buy a house. I didn't want to do anything until I knew where this shit was going. So
in case the carpet got pulled out.
It took me to the Mathers LP to buy a house because I was like, I don't know what, you know what I'm saying? Like this shit could end tomorrow. You just never know. You could fucking put out a flop and you're fucked, and lose your deal and everything. So people knocking all day, on the door and shit. And then, so the first house I bought was across the street, ended up being across the street from a trailer park. So we had no fence. So when I would go to the studio, leave and go to the studio and come back, the cops had just been there because there was kids from the trailer park swimming in our pool in the backyard. So
I'm sorry. That's it.
so then
Fuck around and drown.
me and Kim would walk out the house, and the kids are lined up against the wall. They're all lined up on the wall, and they start clapping when we come out the house. Like, we didn't do nothing. And we had this circular drive, right?
I love it.
And man, it got bad. It got to the point where I was losing my mind. I couldn't take it anymore because the kids would come across the street and they knock on the fucking door, and I start answering the door with a gun in their face. And I will never forget, man, this one kid comes knocking on the door. A lot of times I would just let him knock and then pretend like nobody's home.
Right.
Man, this one kid I will never forget, this kid was relentless. Boom, 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 boom. And I look out the peephole and he's got his shirt off. I'm like, what the fuck? Man, I go over to the window and I look out to see if he's with anybody else, like if there was a car out there, right? So finally he wouldn't stop. Boom, boom, boom. So I just answered the door. What the fuck do you want? Stuck the gun in his face. He starts running out of his shoes. The car takes off. The car took off without him. So he's trying to chase the car. And then I'm like, yo, this shit is getting bad.
I gotta get the fuck out.
I gotta get out of here because this is, I'm gonna fuck around and do something stupid.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, man. So.
Oh, shit.
And the worst part about it, I did, remember that song I did with Exhibit, You Don't Know Me, I Don't Know You?
Yeah.
I was so mad, I went and vented on that record because the city of Sterling Heights that we was living in wouldn't let us put up a fence. Like, we might have stayed there if they'd have let us put up a fence, but they wouldn't let us put up a fence.
Yeah, the town, those.
Yeah, they're like, fuck you. You ain't doing shit. We're like, all right, then we're moving. So that's the end of that story. But yeah, just the whole, when the fame thing started happening, I didn't understand it, and I don't know, I just wasn't ready. I wasn't built for that. Nah, I remember me and Paul went back to his apartment he was staying at, and we watched the video How My Name Is come on TV.
Ah.
And
tell me about that. Let's talk about that moment. Let's not gloss over that. What was that like? Tell me the vibe on that.
Oh man,
I was in Jersey City sharing an apartment with some other some roommates. And Marshall, when he would come to New York, it was early on, would sleep on the couch up in this loft area we had, and there was a TV up there. So it was early on, and the album I think probably wasn't out yet, but we had just dropped the video. Right?
Yeah, and we knew it was coming on TV, right? They had told us.
I think we knew what day. I don't know if we knew exactly what time, or we knew it was coming.
I forget during because obviously I saw the video, but did they premiere it? Did they do like, yo, we got it?
It was just
a new
that
guy.
Time.
Yeah,
it was a new guy. It wasn't like premiere with Carson Daly on TRL. It was like, okay, we're gonna put this into rotation and start playing it.
And so you remember that moment. And what did that feel like for you?
It was crazy because I had the whole leading up to that, I just kept having holy shit moments. Holy shit moment. Dre, I'm sitting here with Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre just walked in. What the fuck is this? I'm at Foot Locker. LL Cool J's telling me that he likes one of my lines.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, I didn't say that too. I didn't tell you. Dre actually played your album for me. Not your album. I'm talking about back then.
Yeah.
He played a lot of your music for me, a couple of songs, and I was like, yo, I remember doing interviews and people asking me about it. You probably saw it. And I was like, yo, Dre got, a hot white rapper, because, at that time, it was different from now. So back then we had to qualify it. Right. And I was like, yo, this dude is hot, blah, 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 blah. So it was around the time I was doing Zoom with Dre. You know what I mean? And that shit was, them fucking records, just hearing them songs were good. But anyway, I digress. But so go ahead. So
that was just another holy shit moment, because every time, what used to happen up to this point to me, what used to happen was we get so close and then it would fall through. So close it would fall through. And every time things looked up, I just learned to not expect or have expectations or get my hopes up. But all those moments kept happening. And then seeing the video on MTV was just like, you still don't know. Like I never wanted to jinx it. So you're still in the back of your mind going, is this really happening? Is this really what's happening right now? And then it hit TRL, and then at the time I didn't even know what TRL was on MTV.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And it just blew up from there.
And then I went up to, I think the first time I was there, I was talking to Carson. It was just so bugged out. It was just like...
So first time I got my hands on any, the first time I got my hands on money, I bought a VCR and some sneakers. But the first time I got my hands on a little decent money, I bought my mother a car, and then I ended up buying my mother a house, and I still lived in my grandmother's basement. When you first got your hands on a piece of, a decent amount of money, whatever that first thing was, advance, I don't know, whatever it was, what did you do?
Okay. Let me back this up for a second. One of the places that I was staying in between Kim's mom's house, my mother had this trailer that she said I could take the payments over on and just stay between touring because I had nowhere to stay. So I bought a used 93 red Camaro with the money that I got from signing with Dre. I got $5,000.
Fire.
Right? So I sent some money home to Kim, and then I bought that Camaro for like $1,200 or something like that, right? So I would have a car to go to when I come back. And I remember I did that first interview with Rolling Stone magazine. I think it was that Anthony Bozza?
Anthony Bozza.
I think I was with him.
Yeah.
I know that dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a great writer. Yeah.
He's like, let's see, he wanted to know where I live right now. And I'm like, well, I'm between touring and shit like that. I live in this trailer. So he wants me to take him to it. So we pull up my red Camaro.
I love that.
I go to walk in, on the door, eviction notice.
With the journalist with
the trailer, yes, with the journalist with me, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
pretty sure it's in the story, yeah.
Oh my God.
And the funny shit is, at the time, I was super fucking embarrassed. I'm like, yo, this is really fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, I gotta tell you a story real quick. I gotta dive in on that and I'm gonna let you finish. I was in I just gotta say this. I was on tour. I got the key to the city. I had a sheriff somewhere in Florida, something like that. I had a sheriff with me, the mayor, everybody. Went on my tour bus. Oh, can we see your tour bus? I'm like, yeah. So we go on a tour bus. I open up my bunk. The fucking dudes, my DJ, everybody, they had put fucking blow up dolls, dildos, fucking nudie magazine. Sabotage. Wow. All type of shit. So I just want to tell you, you talk about a moment of like being like, and then I'm looking at the guy like, these guys fucking around. He's like, yeah. And he fucking believe.
Right.
But anyway, go ahead.
Nah, so I broke in through the window to open the trailer.
Trailer says eviction.
Yeah, and that's when he walked in and saw all my dildos and shit. And I'm like, fuck, I meant to put those away. I think I went in through the window and let him in, but I remember
oh shit,
the trailer had been cleaned out and all my shit was gone. So
they took all your shit out?
Yeah, all my shit. The trailer was completely empty. So everything I had was gone. So I think that's when I ended up staying back at Kim's.
Well, okay, so we've talked about your background. Now let's switch gears for a minute and just like kind of finish up just talking about career and life and just in general. How do you when you make your decisions about what you're going to do with your career, whether it's another album, whether it's a deal of any kind, a movie, endorsement, whatever you decide to do, how do you make those decisions?
Whatever I decide to do next, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because
without giving up any like your secret sauce shit, I'm just saying like, how do you go about approaching,
Well, the weird part is, to me, like all I really do is write. So I'm constantly like, whatever things that people approach Paul with, sometimes he'll bring the stuff to me and be like, this is not going to take your time away from writing, so you want to do this deal or whatever it is, right?
I filter through a lot, as you can imagine, but opportunities that seem like something he might consider doing, or I think should doing, or at least he should know about, I bring his way.
Right. So you filter it that way.
Yeah. He would spend all day looking at things that are on the table if I didn't filter through it. Mm-hmm. It would take up all of his time just looking at it.
So you said you spend your time writing. It's obvious you love it. It's obvious you're passionate. But why? Why do you at this point in your career? Why do you still care enough about writing to spend your time a great majority of your time writing?
Just being competitive, and I'm sure you can speak to this too, because hip hop has not been around for long enough to really know how long somebody can go for. And I feel like as long as you still rap and I still rap, like a lot of these kids coming up can look at that too and be like, I can do that. I can do that too. I can rap till this ain't a 5-year thing. You know what I'm saying? Your longevity, I've told you that before. Like I've studied that, like and how you still always, even when you don't have an album out, you're still relevant no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I study that and I watch those moves that you make and shit, because what do you do? I had this conversation with Busta Rhymes before. What do you do when you get to a certain age and you can't stop thinking of shit? Your heart is still in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? Do you just sell it to less people because there's less people that want to buy it? You know what I'm saying? Do you record it for yourself and not put it out? What do you do when you're still passionate about something?
I tell you what and I say this, it's funny, but I say, you bring it to Rock the Bells. And why do I say that? That's why I started this station. That was the main thing about it, because, see, my thing is this. As artists mature, so do their fan bases.
Right.
Like, your fans had birthdays right along with you.
Right.
They want to hear you. You deserve for your fans to be able to hear your music without a filter. Right. Like, Paul shouldn't have to call up a station that is, feels like they can't play the new Eminem because it's going to play next to Future. You know what I mean? Or it's going to play next to Little Pump, with all due respect. So they feel like they have to make a choice, because stations are so contextual. There's so much about context. So my thing is, Rock the Bells, we're going to be able to play. We got a section called Breaking Bells where we play new shit by classic artists. Not that, you cross a lot of boundaries. You break a lot of boundaries. Your music plays on many stations around the world. We get that. But for a lot of classic artists, once you're no longer in that sweet spot of the demo, once you're no longer at that certain age range, it's like, go fuck yourself. Right. You know what I mean? We don't believe in that anymore. It has nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with quality. It's just been a fact of how the things have worked. Right. But now the facts have changed. And the truth is, now there's a place where you can have a classic artist and this shit can play. You know what I mean? Right. If tomorrow, rest in peace, Prodigy, if Havoc made a new joint tomorrow, you know what I mean? Yeah. He has a place. If Busta makes a new joint tomorrow, like I spoke to Busta very candidly and I said, look, that's my man. I love him. I said, but what you did with Missy, that's a little newer and that may work for, some other stations down the dial, which is no problem. Right. I said, but, at Rock the Bells, we want that vintage, that classic shit for classic fans, straight up. Like, you don't have to compromise your craft. Right. Like, your sensibility still matters. Your same sensibility still matters here. And I think that's important that the world knows that, because there's so many fans listening to Rock the Bells out there and so many fans out there, they haven't been getting this shit, man. They feel like let's take Paul, for example. I talked to Paul about, before, like 2 years ago, I talked to Paul about music. It's like he's looking at LL Cool J and in his mind, it's like, I love this guy, but it makes no business sense where I'm going to play this shit. Hot's not going to play it. This one's not going to play it. Power, this one's not going to play it. But now, all bets are off. Right. That shit is out the window now because, they tried to do those other states. It didn't work. This is the real shit now. I was on the phone with Kool Herc for an hour and a half the other day. I'm on the phone with Flash. I'm on the phone with, Kaz. I'm on the phone with Mo D. I'm on the phone with, all of the founding fathers of the art form. This station is blessed by the absolute OGs of the game. We're the most official station in terms of this part of the genre. And so I say that to say this. Now you can come here. Now your music, the way you want to hear it. If you want to make a fucking hot-ass boom bap record, you can make that shit. And you don't have to worry about it, not playing because it doesn't sound like a auto-tune joint. Not that there's anything wrong with the kids with the auto-tune and all that. Y'all do your thing. But we got the OG classic shit happening over here. So I just wanted to say that to you. You know what I mean? I think that's important. So look, talking about music now. I appreciate the shout out on the last track. That track was the Walk on Water. That shit was, that meant a lot to me.
Big James Todd Smith.
That was dope for me. I was walking around and said, people, I mean, when you get a fucking, it's certain shout outs, and I say this with humility, but even being LL Cool J, there's certain shout outs when you're walking around, people are like, oh, hello,
Full government.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know what I
That's
mean?
incredible.
So it's it feels good. So I appreciate that. So we almost wrapping this thing up, but let's talk about music for a minute, just the creative side of it. What are your thoughts about the future for M? What is Marshall thinking about musically without divulging anything that you don't want to talk about? What are your feelings?
Well, I'm always gonna. I don't want to say always, but right now I record. I write, record.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever it gets used for, I'm just always doing that because it's my passion.
So we can the Eminem fans out there can be pretty confident that and hopeful that an album will come at some point in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's good to know.
Mo D,
Yeah.
you talked to Mo D?
Yeah, I talked to Mo D. It's funny. I play Cannabis second round knockout on the station. I play Mo D shit up raps about me on the station, and I play those things because it's about the culture,
Right.
And it's competition. Whether people think I won, I lost, whether they feel it doesn't matter. What it's about is it's about lifting up the culture. This is not a LL vanity fucking egocentric thing where I'm just like up here rubbing my own balls with, chamomile shampoo all
Right.
fucking day. You know what I mean? It's like I'm like really doing this for the culture. You know what I mean?
I do that though.
You do the chamomile
Yeah.
shampoo.
You're a bigger man than us because we don't play the diss songs towards Eminem on Shade 45. With those go in the bin.
But you know what? And you know what? They rightfully probably should. But I just feel like, for me, and this is not it's not a judgment, man. It's just I think classic hip hop in the genre, because the time frames are a little different. I think M is still in the fray a little bit. I think M is still out there, duking it out and doing. I'm not trying to, me and Mo D are not planning a fucking battle tour.
Fair enough.
This is about the culture. So it's so there's nothing wrong with you guys putting it in the bin. And if I was over there, I'd probably treat it like dog shit too and wouldn't play none of that shit. But over here on the classic side, it's cool to just give people the culture.
It's incredible that you do that because, a lot of these kids, man, coming up right now, I'm not gonna say everyone, but I don't know if they hold us in regard like I hold you in regard and Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's a respect.
Well, there is. They do. They hold you in regard because remember I still do lip sync battle and I do NCISLA and I have kids, well, more lip sync battle than NCISLA, but I have kids that come up to me and I hear the things that they say to me and talk to me about and they love you. Like
it's not even just me I'm talking about.
You're talking about
I'm talking
the
about
generation.
Like, if these kids understand, what you are to rap.
Oh yeah.
And were when you first came out. You know what I'm saying? Like what and the battle between you and Mo D, and just hearing the back and forth on record and people getting to see an actual pretty much like spectators watching a battle.
Yeah.
Like all of that was so important to hip hop and I wish that these kids could experience my first time hearing an LL Cool J record or my first time hearing a Cool G rap record. You know what I'm saying? Rakim, Kane, like my first time hearing that and experiencing that and trying to get home by 4:30 because MTV Raps might play the new LL video. They might play the new EPMD video. You know what I'm saying? Like the feeling of that is what I feel bad for a lot of these kids for not. They'll never get to really experience that because everything's on their phones and it's so accessible. I was saying this the other day. I said, I almost feel like there might be more people that rap than actually listen to rap now. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's very
or
possible.
just as many. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because everyone, and that's what's great. Honestly, I never thought that hip hop could get bigger than it was, even 10 years ago. But it's like it's the biggest. It's the absolute biggest music on the planet. It's, in my opinion, the best music on the planet. But it's even bigger than it was, and it just keeps getting bigger. And it's incredible to me that and great that a lot of these kids coming up can have something like, yo, I can do this now. You know what I'm saying? And when we were coming up, it was like, man, if somebody didn't hear your fucking demo, you're fucked.
You out.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, just watching that is like, that's incredible to me. But again, you know, just experiencing that, you know, I played Haley, I'm Bad, the video, right? And I said, she knows who you are because she knows how to talk about you. But I said, just picture being a kid and seeing this video for the first time. So she watched it and she was like, you know what? I can see why you liked it. I absolutely can see why you liked it because I like it.
That video was crazy. The kidnapped Shorty in the beginning.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, man. I remember, you know, doing that video and doing all of that stuff. And, you know, I'm just real grateful. You know what I mean? I'm very grateful. You know, the things that have happened in my life, I'm very thankful for. I don't take any of this for granted. You know, the only place I'm doing arrogant and cocky is on the records because I'm supposed to. But other than that, I'm not going near that shit. That shit is poison. And I'm just, you know, I'm just glad to be able to do this for the culture, man. You know, and I, you know, I just want to say again, you know, because you have, you know, your own channel, you have your own life, you have a huge career. I appreciate you guys participating and being a part of this because I think that, like I told you offline, you know, a couple of 100 years from now, this is going to matter.
Yeah.
This is for posterity. This is about the legacy. This is about the culture. We are basically giving people we are documenting history.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we are, you know, a generation that grew up with the music. We know all of the players, and it's like we still have the founding fathers here with us. It's like, you know, running around with the founders of a nation, like the whole genre of music, and we have the founding fathers with us. So, you know, this classic hip hop thing is important. So, that being said, look, I appreciate you for being here, man. You know, I appreciate the fact that you dedicated yourself to the craft the way you have.
Thank you.
It matters to me. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that you're passionate about what you're doing. You're a man of your word. And I just, you know, the best is yet to come, baby. You know, it's more to be done.
Speaking of best is yet to come, I wish I could talk about those songs that I heard that you did. Yeah. Me, Al, and Mr. Porter, man, were fucking losing it. We heard 3 songs.
Yeah, thanks. You know,
holy moly.
what is up with that?
You know, I'm definitely at some point I gotta get in there and do some music. You know, like I even said, I would love for us to, you know, fuck around with something. You know, and you know, I
think the world needs to hear those records, like right now. The 3 that I heard,
We may or may have not have heard some things. Is what we're trying to say.
No,
May or may have not.
Yeah, I've been in the studio, experimenting with a lot of different people and doing different shit, and I definitely want to give the world some more music. I want to give the world a body of music that is absolutely explosive, and I got a lot of shit that I want to say and a lot of shit I want to get off my chest. I have a myriad of fuck yous I want to hand out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like personal fuck yous that I want to hand out. And
Not much has changed.
you know, yeah. So it's, you know, it's just, you know, like I'm gonna be honest. I told Z this. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give it. I said, I'm at my best musically. I'm at my best when I'm doing one or two things. Either I'm really angry or really horny.
right?
You know, if I'm really fucking angry or if I'm really fucking horny, you're gonna get a fucking great record. You know what I mean? So I'm a little both. Well, I'm angry right now.
Hopefully, I was gonna say you're neither right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're neither.
Yeah, I had to be careful. Yeah, because
Gotta
go. Horny would have really went left. Yeah, that would have really been nuts.
Hey, yo,
Yeah.
have you heard Brass Knuckles yet? You know that track?
Brass Knuckles. Nope.
It's a new track we did right here.
Yeah, it's
No, don't downplay it. It's dope for an LL fan. Look, there's three LL fans right here.
You heard it?
I heard it.
You heard it?
Yes.
I have not heard it yet.
We're gonna give him a taste.
You want to hear it? You want to hear something?
Give him a taste
Hell
of the
yeah.
bass?
So, come on, man.
Yeah,
Run it.
cut it out.
Yo, man.
all right. You can play some of it.
The king of crowd rock
Killing
finally
music.
is back.
Bullshit.
It's not no bullshit. It's some real shit.
The king of crowd rock
Turn it up and
finally
turn the
is
tempo up a little bit.
Yeah.
Put the tempo up a little bit. It seems slow.
Shine them up. Slide them on.
You just put this out?
We was fucking around in the studio and we played it. He's like putting shit on it. And
Listen.
It's killing season, I'm the GOAT for a reason. Get a track asthma till niggas stop breathing. Toilet bowl balls hang cussed like a heathen. Motherfuck you all, I will get even. The odds are against me, but the looks are deceiving. Whoever say he the best, please don't believe him. Bullet hole, body cold, sidewalk, leave him in front the bodega with a sunroof, cerebral. It's automatic, I flip like acrobatics. Back from my crown, nigga, fuck the dramatics. Yeah, we going at it like broke, strung out addicts. Like Malcolm X with the Uzi in the attic. Niggas start hating when the bitches get erratic. Smooth skin cheerleaders going home tatted. Al Qaeda blowing holes in the bowl. Small thing to a giant boy, you fucking with the glow. Pass the brass knuckles, let me break his jaw. Pass the brass knuckles, let me break his jaw.
It's that B-boy shit right here.
Man, this shit is crazy.
Yo, check this verse.
The greatest of all time, they see me prime time, try to play me. Must have lost your goddamn mind. Ride my dick about an iron chain line. Stupid motherfucker really think he Einstein. It's one go, niggas want the title, that's mine. One go, fuck every rapper who came behind. What? Any rapper got a problem with that line? Go ahead, call me out, let's get it in one time. LL Cool J, the black KKK. Accidental racist, I blow off your faces. On a first come, first serve basis. Poisonous paragraphs, you don't wanna taste it. Time bomb chicken, they got me grief stricken. Cause hoes keep stripping and the clowns keep tricking. Ain't got no game, he wanna put his dick in. Sick all if I rap, the shit sickening. Come on. Pass the brass knuckles, let me blow this up.
Cool J song.
Yo, this feels like some classic shit.
Right?
Thanks, man.
Right? Right?
The black bastard, the master, I burn like sulfuric acid. I'm a hazard, I'm laughing, I get sarcastic on classics. It's drastic, I let you motherfuckers have it, it's quite tragic. Same time, same channel. West Coast chuckers in a motherfucking flannel. Yelling Queens wanna send shots through ya. Say grace, eat your face. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
You know what I mean?
Pass
So
the
you know.
brass knuckles, let me break his jaw. Z-Trip. Pass the brass knuckles, let me break his jaw. Pass the brass knuckles, let me break his jaw. Yeah. More and more and more and more and more. The king of crowd rock is finally is back. The king of crowd rock is finally is back. The king of crowd rock is finally is back. The king of crowd rock is finally is back.
You laughing and shit.
Yo, that shit is crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, this is what I say, man. When people ask me, like, how long am I gonna rap till I lose it?
Yeah.
And I'll know. You'll know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We will know when we lose it.
Yeah.
We're gonna play the song back and be like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel. Is like, that to me is classic LL right there.
Right?
Oh yeah.
To me, it also shows your range again as a writer. Like we were talking about before we went on air, you know, the Revival record and just some of the things that we end up doing as artists.
Yeah, and I wanna get into that. What I was saying is that, see, when I listen to the Revival record and when I listen to the music you make, as artists, sometimes with the fans in classic hip hop, what I would wish the fans would stop doing, and I know they don't do it on purpose, but they kind of limit us.
Yes.
They only want us to talk about, you know, the young male experience, whether it's black male, white male, whether it's ghetto, trailer park, whatever that shit is. They only want to talk about that part of the experience, the danger, the violence, you know, the deals that go wrong, the things on the corner, and they don't respect. Sometimes it appears as though, let me qualify this, the fans don't respect artistry that goes outside of those experiences, those specific experiences. And I think that it does a disservice to to the craft, because you should be able to make a Walk on Water. You should be able to make songs where, you use strings, acapellas, violins, keyboards, different things, hip-hop operas. And, we should be able to do rap in many different ways. You know what I mean? And it should be still respected.
Yeah.
And I think but I'll say this to you. I've had those kind of moments. Obviously, I've had, records that were panned critically. I've had records that people told me my record was dog shit, this and that. But you know what? And I see where I may have, quote unquote, went wrong to some people because I didn't keep it all the way hood or all the way, it wasn't hardcore. But you know what? As an artist, you have the right to expand your horizons. Yeah. So you can't let that shit discourage you. When you need to, what you need to do to hit the reset button, and you do what you need to do. But just know that expanding your horizons creatively, in the long run, it's gonna be, history will bear out that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, me seeing, sitting back and looking at what happened with Revival. I know that there was a lot of backlash on the track listing, and I know there was a lot of backlash on how many singing features I had on there. And one of the things, the only thing I would say to that, when I was talking about like explaining our range as writers, sometimes we like to do that as artists. And, I'm very close, it's not a secret, I have a very close relationship with Skylar Grey. And a lot of times she'll send me some amazing hooks, right? And it's fun for me to try to figure out what to do with them. Because when I get the hook, it's like, okay, how can I make a story about this or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Or this might hit me in this way, and this brings out the time when I felt like this. You know what I'm saying? And, we realized after we were getting a lot of hooks that she was writing, like, okay, well, we can't have Skylar Grey on every song. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not going to make sense. So a lot of times we would send them to other, if the song came out and it was at a level where we felt like, okay, all right, people need to hear this. But we're all learning as we go through life. Everything so I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to learn how to make the perfect record.
Yeah, we all are.
The perfect song, the perfect record, the perfect album. But sometimes it's just not going to be, like you said, what everybody wants a certain thing from you. They want a certain thing from me, but it's all different. Like, everyone's probably, you got some people going, man, I hope he makes at least 3 or 4 love songs on the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
definitely.
I hope he comes with the fucking bar. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone wants a certain LL, everyone wants a certain Eminem, and if you look online, man, it's like everyone wants something different. And how in the fuck can you please everyone? So with this album, that's where I felt like it was the most diverse, because I felt like maybe I got a little something for everybody on here. But hey, man, when you miss the mark, you miss the mark, and it is. But and
I know as an artist, it's hard to not know it at the time, but you didn't miss the mark. It's art. There were certain artists who never sold a painting while they were alive. All right. There were certain things that timing is everything, and you're gonna have longevity, and God willing, we both have longevity. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, you don't know what's gonna happen in 10 years or 20 years. You don't know what's going to happen musically, where these records are going to go. This is art. Right. And people forget that. I think they I want that shit. And then when you give them that shit, they say it's the same old shit. And then when you give them some different shit, they say you're giving me different shit. I want that shit. Yeah. But then you give them that shit, and they say it's the same old shit.
Right.
So it's like,
where's your content? You're not talking about anything. Okay, you're talking about something, but I don't like this part that you're talking about. Like,
exactly.
Now you got too much content. You need to just rap.
Yeah.
Now you sound just like you sounded in 2000. You know what I'm saying? It's the same shit.
Exactly.
But yo, man, I gotta say one more thing, man. These chains that you got me, I can't even like fathom or thank you enough, just because like what I don't want to make this weird, but I get nervous when I'm around you. And we were at this hotel a few weeks ago, and they told me you were down there, and I was like, man, I get nervous, because what you mean to me and what you've done for this culture is so fucking phenomenal, important, everything. You know what I'm saying? Because it's bugged out to me to have so many pictures of you on my wall when I was a kid, and just and to be able to meet you and just like you quoting lyrics back to me and all that shit, man. It means and meant so much to me. You know, I don't know. I didn't want to make it weird, but when we did that, what was that show we did where we asked them questions? Yeah, because this is what happens. When I'm around my idols, I always end up putting my foot in my mouth. And I had asked you about a mistake a tiny little blip on the Phenomenon record, about the globe and the world and the melody. And the only reason I asked you that question is because I thought he's gonna know what a fan I am because I even know his skits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's real though.
So, and then I left going, oh, you're so stupid. You know, why did you ask that?
Nah,
and I got it from these guys, and I was just like, yo, what? But first I said it. I was like, yo, why the fuck did I ask him that? There's too many questions. If we were sitting here, I could talk about rap with you all day. And I could ask you, I could interview you because there's so many fucking questions I have. Yo.
We got to do that next time.
I got to tell you this. I got to tell you this. Paul can testify to this. One day I was listening to I'm Bad, and I realized when you said, when I retire, I'll be worshipped like an old battleship. And I thought, oh, worship.
Yeah.
Worship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know
yeah.
Hey, worship.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wordplay. Early wordplay.
Yeah.
That's early wordplay.
Yo, man, I'm dropping them. First of all, you left Earth on that fucking song. I'm dropping them was like, Jesus Christ, man. Oh, but I wanted to ask you, just like Paul and you all in.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Because he had passed away. Paul Lynn.
Paul Lynn.
You all in the cat, just like Paul Lynn, you all in, man.
Just like Paul and you all in.
Yeah. Yo. And then here's my other question. This is not.
Here we go.
This is not to criticize. I swear to God, it's not to criticize. I just always wondered this. Dropping them when the beat goes off at the end. It goes off. You know what I'm talking about?
You mean when the beat just keeps playing? Yeah, with fucking the tape machine or whatever. Because I made that beat.
You did?
Yeah, the dropping them beat, I made that shit in the studio. Like a lot of my beats, I made a lot of the beats.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, like I made dropping them. I made like I'm that type of guy. I made the fucking beat. I made the beats on like
Oh, that's crazy.
Like the bass line on Jingling Baby. Like I looped it up and then Marley added some drums.
Man.
A lot of my records I made the beats on. Lots of them. Yeah.
Yo, and that was the first thing I asked him when we started working together. I was like, yo, tell me about dropping them.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way. I was like,
found a guitar
so
lick.
dumb, so
and then
stupid.
like you know when you loop the joint and then when it runs out it just that's the
end of the sample.
Yeah, I was like, fuck it.
The illest shit is that you left it. That was the raw shit.
Well,
I love it.
But I've always been a weirdo like that. Like when my records like on Jack the Ripper, I said, leave me see if you could dance. I ain't give a fuck. I leave it.
Great.
Man, let me tell you this. Don't think that when Walking with the Panther came out and you could call this 900 number.
Yeah, you remember that shit?
Man, I was on the phone, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, you remember that shit?
Yeah, I didn't pay the bill for that shit, but I was at a friend's house. I won't say which friend.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah, just to hear the album.
That's funny. I remember that shit.
Man, that album is so fucking classic. There's so many crazy songs on there.
Thanks, man. Nitro, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Well, okay, so look, once again, it's LL Cool J, Rock the Bells Radio, DJ Z Trip, Influencer Hip Hop, and my guest has been Marshall Mathers. Eminem, we've bonded even more now. This is actually the longest conversation we've ever had, and it's good shit. You know, it's like good. You know, it's good shit. So I want to thank you again for coming. We appreciate you. We'll look forward to what the future holds for you in terms of your career, entertaining us, doing dope shit, and
you as well.
And thank you, man. You the motherfucking man, baby. Love you, homie. No doubt.
You too.
Love. Rock the bells.